Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and I am the Spare Time Property Investor. In these podcasts, I'm going to share tips, tricks, and lessons that I've learned and will hopefully help you, especially if you're still working the 9 to 5. Hello, and welcome to my podcast, The Spare Time Property Investor, a podcast all about investing around your day job or business. Before I go any further, make sure you stick around to the end for this week's recommendation, and I'm sure you will love it, as well as details of a competition with a really great prize you'll definitely want to enter. So, today I'm interviewing Natasha and Matt from Sapling Properties about their investment journey and how they juggle investing around Matt's full-time job and Natasha's staging business, which is called Dressing Rooms. Taking inspiration from Natasha's parents who run Airsworth Property Sourcing, they've been in property for around a year now and they're currently focusing on buy-to-lets. And like many of us, they're putting in the long hours now, so in the future they will be able to have more freedom and travel more. During the interview, they say this.
And I know the secret. It's a big secret, this one. I don't know if actually that many people know about it. But
And this.
That wasn't coronavirus's fault. We can't blame that one on coronavirus. But
And they are honestly a really nice, inspirational young couple. So without any further delay, here is the interview. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. We have Matt and Tash. So for starters, let's talk about your kind of work life, your business and your job. So Tash, you have a home staging company called Dressing Rooms. So tell me a little bit about that and what you do kind of day to day.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having us. So I own Dressing Rooms Home Staging. I set it up just under a year ago now, and we basically do home staging. So we furnish properties for sale. We work with private investors and small-scale developers as well. So mainly working on flips, sometimes rental stuff as well. We've also recently taken the opportunity, I guess, during lockdown to launch a virtual staging service.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So that basically is a little more cost-effective option for some people that does the same job in some respects. So we furnish photos digitally, so basically they stand out online. Not quite as good as proper home staging, because obviously you don't have the furniture once you're in the rooms themselves, but it does a really good job and it makes the properties really stand out on Rightmove. So that's kind of what...
Do you take their image and then kind of put furniture in the room, or do you do like a 3D kind of image thing that I've seen other people do?
We take their images, so obviously the better quality images, the better quality the end product. But it means that we can just work with their photos and we digitally add all the furniture. And obviously using the style experience that we've sort of come across from having the home staging company, we add that element ourselves. So basically an end product that they don't have to lift a finger for. So it works really well, especially during lockdown, obviously, because we've not been able to go and visit properties, but you know, people can, and they can take their own photos, which we can work with. So it's worked really, really well. And I can see it continuing to do so because it's a lot cheaper than normal home staging. So some people are slightly more willing to invest in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going really well, actually. I'm really enjoying doing it. So that's my business. So it's great because we're quite flexible. So obviously property investment, there's a lot of viewings that you have to do, there's a lot of offers to be put forward, and the more flexible you can be with doing viewings, the better, really. So in terms of dressing rooms, there is a lot to do, but if I want to stay up till midnight doing it, I can, which means I can take the morning off to do viewings. So it works well, and the company I keep in terms of dressing rooms, you know, we speak to a lot of estate agents, we're talking to a lot of other investors. So actually the connections and like relationships we're making are super useful across both businesses.
I bet, yeah.
So that's really helpful sort of for property investment. But yeah, it is busy, but it's nice, and it's nice being able to manage your time and like decide which bit you want to focus on and stuff. So cool. Yeah, it's good.
That's great. Then Matt, you're in marketing, so tell me how your kind of week looks and then how property investment fits around that.
Yeah, so yeah, just like to say thanks again.
No worries.
But yeah, so I work 9 till 5, so the majority of my time is just sort of spent at work, not really doing anything property related. But then obviously I can use my evenings and the weekends, so some maybe 2 or 3 evenings a week, I'll help Tash with doing numbers or planning social media posts, that sort of thing, and then let you do sort of viewings at the weekend. So that's sort of how I manage my time. But it works well because sort of I've got the job and the affordability through the salary, and then obviously Tash has got more time to spend on property and that sort of thing.
And that's so important. Still being able to get mortgages and things like that, you know, having that regular income is so important. I think sometimes people forget that I think a lot of people just really want to race to like quit their job and everything like that. But once you quit your job, I mean, the banks don't know if you're trustworthy to like give a mortgage to. Oh God. Yeah.
Well, everyone has this like financial freedom figure in their head.
Yeah.
And actually it's fair, you know, once you get sort of going with it, that's quite an achievable figure, especially for us. You know, there's no children or anything that needs to rely on us. So it's a very like achievable figure. But like you say, then you've got to be able to have lending. Yeah. So having that job and just thinking a little bit further ahead than just financial freedom is something we've tried to do. And that's why, you know, you're in a job that you quite enjoy.
And good. It doesn't put too much pressure on thinking, oh my God, how we're going to pay our bills this month or anything like that. It sort of just keeps us going.
That's cool. Okay, that's great. So, have you got any projects that you're working on at the moment, or has the coronavirus kind of scuppered things for any of it?
Well, so we had a couple of deals that were happening before. So one was a lease option. So I'll talk about that more later on. Mm-hmm. But the other one was, it was just a deal. We saw with an estate agent. We offered on it. It got rejected. Offered again, you know, kept up with it. Eventually it got accepted, quite a lot below asking price.
Nice.
And then everything was going through, and then we got a survey done, and the survey just threw up so many issues that we just couldn't have foreseen. And the roof needed a completely new roof. Downstairs, it was a basement kitchen, so it was over 4 levels, the house. And the kitchen, we'd planned to plaster it and obviously have a new kitchen, etc. But he put the damp meter to the wall, and it just was like glaring. Like you can imagine, like every single alarm going off with the damp meter, because it was just sodden. So it needed like completely tanking out and a membrane putting in.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And so much more cost than we'd anticipated.
Yeah, expensive stuff.
Yeah, so we did go. We did sort of decided we'd soak up a bit of that, but it was sort of 10 grand plus over the refurb that we'd imagined, with the roof, the scaffolding and all the tanking. And so we went back to renegotiate, and we renegotiated to a certain extent, and then coronavirus hit. And it was just like, you're hearing all these different things about what the market's going to do. And we decided, you know, the cost that we were going to soak up, we actually needed that as a buffer, because the done-up value was already, it was fine. It was just tight. And with the virus and obviously not knowing what the market was going to do, we just couldn't afford to be that lenient on figures. So we had to be really strict and say, look, I'm really sorry, this is what it needs to be due to the market dropping and obviously all the costs that have just suddenly come up. So they moved a little bit more, but not enough. So we're speaking with them now, having estate agents reopened and things. So we never know, it might happen.
Fingers crossed.
Okay,
and obviously no one's seen it for 8 weeks because no one was allowed.
I was going to say, and there'll be a lot of people in the same or worse kind of state than you in terms of being able to follow through with it. So I don't think there's a huge amount of competition at the moment, so you might be able to, wangle a little bit more off. Who knows?
Exactly. And it was just, they're a couple, and they were living in it. I mean, goodness, they must be. God, I don't know how they survived the lockdown, bless them.
It's quite upsetting, isn't it?
It is. It needs a lot of work doing. The kitchen is a state, and like I say, it was so damp, it must have been really cold. And I can't imagine them wanting to live there much longer after they've spent 8 weeks solidly in that house. Let's just say.
Yeah, really true. Yeah. It's all well and good if you're living there, but you're able to go out and do other things. But if you're stuck in a property like that, it doesn't sound very nice. Yeah, so maybe. Yeah. But then, so the coronavirus then, that kind of scuppered that one. But you said there was another deal as well.
yeah, it was kind of, I think it was coronavirus, but also the refurb. But yeah, it was just the both those things happening at the same time. Just like the buffer we'd built in just was gone immediately. So yeah, and then there was a lease option. It was slightly before coronavirus, to be fair, and it just happened that they managed to find a buyer. Like just as we were, going to be writing the heads of terms, they were so up for it. They were so on board as well because it really helped them. I mean, they were accidental landlords. It was the guy's mum's house, and who'd passed away, and he didn't like being there. You could tell it brought back a lot of memories for him that he just didn't want to be there, and it needed quite a lot of work doing to it, and they had a mortgage that was really high. I think they'd bought it, or maybe they'd got a mortgage on it in 2007, something like that. So you can imagine the proper leverage on it, and they'd put it on the market at slightly over what it was worth. And even if they got an asking price offer, they wouldn't walk away with any money. They'd pay off the mortgage, pay the fees, and that was it. So a lease option was absolutely perfect for them.
Spot on.
And it was so exciting, and like being able to help them. And they were honestly lovely, and really you could tell it was helping. And then we were, like writing heads of terms and stuff. And they said, one of my family, I think it was her brother, was like wanted to buy it, and they were just like, they kind of wanted that, I guess, instead, and they just, and as well, being family, they wanted to help out the family.
I was just going to say, you can understand why they made that decision,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was like, oh.
The amount of confidence that you gained from going through all that was incredible.
Yeah. So it was really good. That wasn't coronavirus's fault. We can't blame that one on coronavirus, but we blame everything.
I think Corona's got a lot more time before.
But like I said, Matt, I mean, going through that process and getting to the point where somebody who really fitted the lease option, they were going to go for it, and it's just just circumstances meant that they didn't follow through with it. So it must be great to kind of get to that point in terms of your development and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Nothing's ever lost, is it? It's always a good experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So what originally sparked your interest in property investment?
It was. It's a funny one. So it's my parents actually just got involved in property. So it's a really long-winded because I have to almost tell their story to tell ours. But my dad was made redundant, and then they decided that they'd done a house a long time ago that they'd done, very saved up for it, refurbed it. My dad did a lot of the work himself and then flipped it. And that was kind of their plan. And then they saw an advert for like a property training company, and they went along and absolutely loved it and completely opened up their eyes to how they could do property investment in a much more efficient way that was helping a lot more people.
Yeah.
And they went through that whilst I was actually working abroad. So I did Spanish at uni, and I did a year abroad in Palma. So I was working there whilst they were going through all, and they were just, honestly, every single time they were talking to us, it was like DUV, BMV, HMO, like...
Didn't have a clue what was going on.
Yeah, it was just abbreviation after abbreviation and lease options and like so many cool things, and it was just... We'd be on a meal, and then they'd start talking about property, and then I'm really sorry, we'll stop talking about property now. And then within 2 minutes, they were back on property, and they just couldn't stop talking about it. We were so excited. And I think basically we just had enough and decided, well, we need to learn about it so we can actually have a conversation.
We can't speak to anything else, so.
No, but in all seriousness, we could see how well they were doing and how much they were helping people, and how, just excited and like it was tangible. And we decided, that we wanted more of that and a more freedom, I guess, to choose how we spend our future. And being apart whilst I was in Mallorca and you were in a job, it was like we could avoid this, if we
absolutely
if we decide to be able to take charge of our own future and whatever.
But by no means they didn't pressure us into it. They were like, look, this is what we're doing, but if you guys don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But we were just
we'll get all our properties when we die anyway.
But But I suppose it's that inspiration, isn't it? Seeing people who are so close to you doing it and so excited and kind of exposing you to it. Yeah, it must have been great. And it must have been, like I say, infectious, seeing their enthusiasm and their excitement and everything. It must have been really exciting at the time for yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And we saved up and we did the training ourselves. So we did what they had already done, and we got into it and were absolutely blown away as well. And that's how we decided that was definitely what we wanted to do, rather than just hearsay, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I think we were really excited sort of going on the train, because we trained through Legacy, and now they're called Asset Academy. I think we were just so excited before we'd even got there, but then when we actually did the sort of 3-day course, was just some of the things they were saying was absolutely incredible. Just the strategies and a completely different way of thinking about things.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's the training you did then. So Legacy, did you say? Yeah. So you did the 3-day course. Is that right? And then did you have anything else following that? Did you have a mentor or anything like that, or did you just have those 3 days and then get cracking?
Well, that is something we can blame coronavirus for, because we were meant to have you do get a mentor who will come and work with you for 3 days in your area and really support you with speaking to estate agents, putting offers forward, etc. And that was meant to happen on the 1st of April, so that all got moved. Yeah.
Which was frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did our 3-day basics training is what it was called, and then we did a creative finance course, buy-to-let training and distressed property. So yeah, all of which were absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Okay. And it gave you enough to get going with all the information that was covered. Oh, that's great. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it gave us, we came away with so much information, and then it's just having the confidence to go out and implement it, I guess. And having the strength to face the rejection, which is constant. There's a lot of no's, and there's a lot of, you don't know what you're talking about. And obviously, I'm the one going into estate agents. I look quite young as well. They just dismiss me straight away a lot of the time. But it's having the balls to say, no, this is what we want to do, and just sort of keep at it, which I think we've been fairly good about, considering we've been, fighting for a long time for stuff to happen. And it's I feel like now things are really starting to happen, and people are coming to us, and
that's really good. Yeah, that's great.
I think another sort of benefit of it is the network, so the people that you meet and the connections that you make, so then you almost see other people doing it, because a lot of our friends aren't doing it, although any of our friends are doing it, but then to have other people that we can see on social media or through calls doing it just gives us that sort of motivation, or and that it does work, and people are
and if they can do it, why not you? It's that kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So did the training kind of help you decide on a strategy? Kind of, what is your main strategy, and how did you kind of decide on it?
We're looking primarily, we just want buy-to-lets to start off with. I think our strategy at the beginning was just to get loads and loads of buy-to-lets, and a bit naively probably. And we started looking in our area where I was at uni. So I was
in Lancaster.
Still in Lancaster doing my final year at uni, which is the only place I could get to. So we decided that we would do buy-to-lets in Lancaster, but actually it didn't really work. And the prices in Lancaster weren't really viable for the strategy that we wanted to do. So we changed our tack and we decided to purchase our own house. It needed work doing, so we decided to buy a house that would need work, carry out all the refurbishment, and then add loads of value to it, which is what we've done. And that sort of took up a lot of time. It gave us confidence in the buying process. We'd never bought a house before, but that gave us a lot more insight into the buying process, into the refurbs. Like, we've got so much more experience about refurbs now, and just so little things you always say,
just little things which ways your doors are going to hang, but you need to sort of figure that out early on, because you don't want a light switch behind a door, and it's like the order of decisions that need to be made.
Yeah.
Was quite surprising.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you learn by doing your own house, isn't it? Yeah, we did that to start off with, and it's incredible how much you have to learn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just, stuff going wrong and being able to deal with it, and dealing with builders who is very difficult, especially when we don't have the knowledge necessarily of that just yet. And just sort of getting all that sorted, it was really useful to be able to do that first before going out into the proper property world, I guess. So then we changed our area, after I finished uni. We moved in together, changed our area, and now pretty solidly looking at buy-to-lets. And then we might move on in the future, who knows, but it's just
student HMOs maybe.
Might look at student HMOs, but for now it's just more about building that income, and also just being safe, because you can see people get carried away with certain strategies, and I feel like we want to just be safe, don't we? We're quite
risk averse, but just sensible in a way.
Yeah, I always think that, because we're investors, so part of us should be kind of risk averse, because we don't want to lose money. That's kind of half of it, isn't it? Yeah, so that makes sense.
Exactly, yeah.
But you said about the lease option then. So is that part of it? So are you getting these deals by lease option, or are you purchasing them?
Well, I think we're primarily.
Sorry, the cat was in the way.
Oh right.
It was tearing up cardboard, and I thought that'll just add a weird noise.
I think it's sort of difficult to go out and look for lease options, I think, but I think we're sort of primarily just looking for normal buy-to-lets.
Oh, okay.
But then sort of if the
situation
comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're sort of seeing those lease options will be buy-to-let, so it's still part of our buy-to-let strategy.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a slightly different way of
Acquiring
purchasing
them.
one.
Yeah.
And we always, quite often, if a property's been on the market for a while, we'll see what it was bought for, think, could it be a potential lease option? Are they a negative equity? That kind of thing. And then we'll go out with the idea that it might be a lease option. But I wouldn't say we look for them.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of purchasing, then, do you use JV finance? Do you use your own money? I mean, that's something everybody kind of has to struggle with, because at some point you run out of cash. Everybody does.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, so for our first deal, we we've got some savings ourselves, our own capital, but then we are looking to work with angel investors.
Oh, okay.
And we had quite a good sort of experience of that. We got the first offer accepted, and then we raised, I think it was 50 grand in a couple of weeks off various people, which we were quite impressed with.
Yeah.
And are those people you met through the training and stuff, or is that completely separate?
Honestly, they're just friends and family, really.
Oh, wow, okay.
We've been speaking to them about property a while, and we've made a sort of private finance document. And then, just talking to people, whether it's at a family do or whether it's a meal with friends, just keep talking about property. And then when we did get the offer accepted, we just sort of said to people, look, we've finally got one, here it is, and if you want to chat about it, then let us know. And quite a few people got in touch with us, and went forward and invested.
That's
really
cool.
If I was to give a tip to people, it would be to just log who you speak to. Yeah. So get or whatever, and just log who you speak to, what they do, and why they're interested. Just because I think it was a Sunday night, we were just sat and we were trying to think of who could invest, and a guy who we'd spoke to maybe 9 months earlier, but neither of us could really remember speaking to him.
Okay.
But we'd logged him down, so we then messaged him, and then within a couple of days he'd invested.
Wow. Okay.
So it was so worthwhile just keeping that log and
it's
just
really good.
Making sure.
And it sounds awful, but we wouldn't have remembered that we talked to him about property had we not written it down. And it's so definitely, even if it's just the smallest little conversation, even if it's just like, oh, we're in property, and they ask a question, just jot them down. I mean, it might come to nothing, but it costs you nothing to write it down and just log it and to remember in the future.
I have something similar. Yeah. And, you know, kind of reference to what they're interested in and stuff like that. It's interesting. And then you can kind of follow people up as well if they've said that they might be. Yeah, so that's great. So, and that's kind of a little segue into the next section, which is, what are your top 3 top tips to invest around your day job? So you can't have that one. You've wasted it.
I'd say tip number 1 would be to make sure that you have a really strong why. So like really understand why you're doing what you're doing. Just because obviously you come home from work, you might be tired, you might have just had your tea or your dinner, and you think something then has got to really drive you to go and fire up your laptop and spend a couple of hours, whether it's working out numbers or doing social media or whatever it is. Something that has to be burning within inside you to really just pick yourself up and do it when you're not necessarily feeling like doing it.
Yeah.
So then have a clear why.
Yeah. And then I guess one of my tips would be just really plan and structure your week. So if you're in my kind of job where it's so flexible, you can be so flexible that you end up doing nothing because you end up spending all of your time. Like, I can get so consumed with when there's like a really exciting dressing rooms project. You know, there's a lot of input, there's a lot of design, shopping, all of that kind of stuff comes into it. And you can get so distracted and spend all your time on that you miss out things that you should be doing daily. So, you know, we've been really good at planning and structuring our week so that we know, you know, not what tasks necessarily, but what business we're doing in what afternoon, what sort of section of that business. Is it social media? Is it searching for deals? And then also in the evenings, we know when Matt gets back, we know what we have to do that evening. And it gives us some, you know, we know what we're doing, but also once we've done it, it's a massive sense of achievement because, you know, you've written it down and you've done it, and I think it's really helpful to be able to structure it like that rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to do something, but I just don't know what.
Yeah. And then you also like structure our time as well. You also structure time off, whether it's a date night or doing something else. So it's not a case of then just thinking, oh, I've got to do something all the time. Yeah. It just helps us to remember that we are still young.
Yeah.
Having fun.
That's an easy one to fall into, though. Just always doing something. We struggle with that sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's so difficult. And you just get consumed, and there's emails on your phone, and you just think, oh, I'll just reply to that, and you end up just losing your evening if you have plans.
Yeah. I think the final tip would be to still try and enjoy your job. At the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time a week. If you've got a 9-to-5 job, it's a big portion of your life.
Yeah, it's a big chunk. Yeah.
Doing. So don't just think, oh well, it's a waste of time. Still try and enjoy it and do the best that you can there and enjoy your life. Really.
That's good. Yeah, no, it's a really good tip. So I think because a lot of people have this aim to get out of their day job, so they want to do it as quickly as possible, and it just seems like this inconvenience you have to go to from 9 to 5 and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really good point. Really good point.
Yeah, it just makes you happy. If you're so negative all the time, you're just creating more negativity, and actually just trying to enjoy it, trying to see the positive of the situation, and then I think it'll help a lot more in the future.
Cool. Okay, so have you got any business books or property books that your kind of favourites or any that inspired you?
The one I read that was quite surprising recently, I heard a lot about it, was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, yeah.
And I sort of, before I'd read it, I thought it was going to be one of those books where it was like, habit 1, wake up early. Habit 2, save more money than you spend. And I just thought it was going to be one of those, but it was so much deeper than that. And it was like the first 3 habits are all to do with yourself and really understanding what's important to you, and then how to then structure your life, making sure that you are focusing on all of your areas of your life and not just say, I don't know, finances or your family or whatever it is. And then the fourth, fifth, and sixth habits then all to do with like communicating with people and how like to try and work with people to create win-win scenarios and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the seventh habit is also to do with like working on yourself daily. So yeah, just that. I would recommend that book. It's really helped me recently.
It's great, and it's old, and it's still, you know what I mean. It's a relevant book that was written. I don't know how long ago, but yeah, it's an old book, really, isn't it? And it's still kind of I've read it. It's good.
Yeah. I think mine. It's not so much business or property. It's more personal development, I guess. But I really like The Secret, and I read it fairly recently, actually. And it's just, I think I'm a very emotional person. When something good happens, I get so happy. When something bad happens, I can really take a nosedive. And actually, that's a really bad way to be in business, especially when you're self-employed and like there's all these ups and downs literally every single hour. And it's good to just try and see the positives when negative things happen. And I think The Secret has just been so good for me in that respect. And just trying to change your way of thinking and be a lot more grateful. And, you know, the grass is always greener, and actually the grass isn't always greener. And we just need to sort of think about that and be grateful for what we have. And I think that's why, you know, we talked earlier about lockdown, and actually we're finding a lot of positives from lockdown. I know a lot of bad things are happening, but we are really lucky that we've got our health, we've got a garden, and it's just making you think about that rather than thinking, oh my God, this is awful, you know, all the time, which is a really bad way of living.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's good. I haven't read it personally, but I hear a lot of people, kind of mention it and stuff. Yeah, that's really good. I do think you have to be positive. Sorry?
Yeah. I was going to say, because so many people have said recently, oh, everyone seems to be reading The Secret. And I'm just like, well, that's proving to you that The Secret is working, because The Secret is all about law of attraction. And if you notice everyone's reading it, then it must be true.
Fair dues. Cool. Do you have any tools that help you kind of with your investment around your jobs? Any kind of favourite tools, software, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we use Trello quite a lot.
Oh, same.
It's free, and it's amazing, and it's so good for so many different things. And we use it to sort of log offers and like interest in property. So if a property comes up, I'll immediately put it in Trello, and if we don't have time to look at it there and then, we just put it in, and at least it's sort of logged in one column, and we just keep moving it across depending on where we're at with viewing it or offering on it. And that's so good, and it's very easy to use as well. I think you can get very bogged down in all these amazing softwares that are supposed to be super helpful, and actually they're very complicated. But if you just find a system that works for you, it's a lot easier to just manage. But Trello's really simple to use.
Love it. I can't believe it's free as well. It's such a good program. Such a good program.
I mean, I've not tried the paid for version.
No, I haven't.
For extra bits, but it's so good as it is. I don't feel the need right now to pay for it. But no, it's really, really like that one.
Yeah, cool. Any others?
Another thing we use is Hootsuite, and there's a lot of similar social media and management tools out there, but we use Hootsuite.
Yeah.
And that just works well, just because if you're wanting to do your social media, you can just spend an hour and get maybe 4 or 5 posts planned for the week, but you're in that mindset of just thinking of ideas and doing them there and then, rather than every other day thinking, oh, I've got to put something on social media and trying to find a picture and type about it.
Yeah.
Just spend an hour, do the week's work, and then it's done there.
But social media has been so useful for us. So, you know, just by spending that little bit of time throughout the week, having posts going out and stuff, it's massively like helped us in terms of meeting people and raising finance, and people just seeing our journey and actually seeing the work we've put in. So it's been really, really good. And my other secret, it's a big secret, this one, I don't know if actually that many people know about it, but I love Canva, and I'd never heard of it.
I love Canva.
Like a little,
Canva.
It's amazing, and it looks so professional, and not many people know about it, so I'm a little bit unwilling to say, but there you go.
No, Canva's brilliant. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
And I love how they have all the different sizes for, you know, like an Instagram post or whatever. They have all the presets. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's so useful.
Free.
Yeah, and so again, so much of that is free that you
I
don't
know.
need to pay
Yeah,
for.
I like free.
Like,
I like free. That's one of my favourites. That's good. Cool. Okay. So, with your investing and stuff, have you had any kind of people around you to help? You know, like brokers. You were talking about estate agents and stuff like that. Is there anyone in particular you have that you kind of keep on going back to, and in your like power team, for want of a less cheesy kind of term?
Well, we obviously, obviously my parents are a really useful source of knowledge, and they're obviously very helpful with us, and we can always pick up the phone and run stuff by them, which is really, really nice. Just they're mega supportive, and also they get it, so they can run the numbers, they can do stuff with us, so it's nice to have that. And also our mentor, he's been the one that we were meant to have the mentorship on the 1st of April. We've still been in contact with him, and he's been really great. And that's someone we wouldn't have met had we not done the training. But he's been amazing to sort of run stuff past. And we have a broker and a solicitor and stuff, and they're good and they're good at their job, but we wouldn't go to them with something like the problems that we can go to the mentor with, and like our mentor will be able to see the way around it. And cool. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Then we've got 2 more questions. So the first one is, if you lost everything, including all your contacts, and you had to start again, what would you do first?
Take a big deep breath.
Yeah. I think we'd get training again. We'd still go and get the knowledge, because without any of the knowledge, without any of the training that we've done, we just wouldn't know where to start. We wouldn't know how to help people in the way that we can. If we see, like we've talked about lease options quite a bit, but that's all come through the training. There's no way we would have known how to do that in such a detailed way had we not done the training. And I guess we just sort of, I don't know, just go back to basics and really just look at the area. And I think just be logical. I think sometimes, you can get so carried away with the numbers and the comparables and stuff like that. And actually, just sometimes just take a breath and say, is this logical that in this part of town I'm paying £600 a month rent for this house? And actually sometimes you go, no, that's not sensible. And I think, just sense check yourself sometimes. And I think we sometimes get, run away with thoughts and run away with the stuff that's on the computer. And it'd be so good if you just take a step back and think, right, let's just think about it logically. And a lot of it is logical. A lot of, everything about the housing market as well, it's all just logical.
Yeah.
What happens, if when rents go up and when rents come down and all these different things, it's logic. So, yeah. I didn't really answer the question, but
no.
The politicians answer.
You've got a great future. But I mean, loud and clear. The training seems to have helped you a lot, and you value it, so you'd go back to it. Yeah, sounds cool. Okay. This one, I'm not sure how well this one will work actually, because you don't look too far beyond it. So the question is, if you could speak to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give him? You're probably not miles off that.
Thank you.
Oh, is that just just a serious compliment?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, you're right. We're not far off, but we did prepare. We did have a little bit of an.
That's cool. Yeah.
In mind. But I think mine would be go to uni. So when I was 18, I was adamant that I wasn't going to go. I didn't think I learned that way. I was quite entrepreneurial then, and I just didn't really see the value in me going. And I'm so glad I did go. And I did do Spanish, and I went to Mallorca, like I talked about, and that just gave me so much confidence, living in a foreign country on my own and just having to just get on with it and speak the language. And, we had so many problems with our landlord because the flat was just a state, and he didn't even speak Castilian Spanish. He spoke Mallorquin, which is a dialect of Catalan, which is variation of Castilian. And it was just like having to just get by, but it gave you like me so much confidence, and I'm so glad I did. And obviously I wouldn't have met Matt if I hadn't gone to uni, so he might not have a business.
There you go.
Very cute.
And how about you, Matt?
I think mine's a bit more boring, I think. I would probably say just work on yourself a little bit every day, whether that's doing some exercise, going to the gym, reading, just something like that, because a bit like the slight edge principle of compound interest. It's like if I'd have read, say, 10 pages a day, so ever since I was 18, by now, God knows how many books I'd have read. If I'd have gone to the gym, God knows what I would look like.
So we can only dream.
I think a lot of us are guilty of that sort of thing. Yeah.
And just sort of, just designated a little bit of time every day just work on yourself is what I would say.
And I think it's one of those times where everyone's sort of growing up and your mental health can just be a little bit all over the place. And if you are at uni or if you're not at uni and all your friends are, and it's so up and down, and like you're just trying to get accustomed. But if you just spend a little bit of time on yourself and learning about yourself and growing and building in confidence, it can just be
a massive difference.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Short term and long term.
Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. Okay. So that's it, really. That's the podcast. So thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me. And I'd love to follow up with you maybe in a year's time or something like that to see where you are on your journey. Hopefully that would be hopefully that would work for you. Yeah. Cool. So where can people find you? What's the easiest way?
So on our social media pages is probably the best. So we have on Instagram, we are Natasha _property, and we just share all our journey and everything that's going on goes on Instagram. And then from a home staging point of view, we also have an Instagram page which is at Dressing Rooms HS. Or if you're interested in the services, you can go to our website, which is www.dressingroomshomestaging.co.uk. And then you'll find my email and my phone number and things if you want to talk about anything home staging. We cover West Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, anywhere in Yorkshire, parts of Lancashire, parts of Manchester, Northwest. We go quite far as long as it's in the north from a home staging perspective. And also the virtual staging we can do, obviously that's completely remote. So, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, you can get in touch with us about our virtual staging. We're actually running a competition at the moment. So if you are interested in virtual staging, we are doing a competition. So you have to go onto our Instagram and all the details are there. And basically the winner will win 3 virtually staged photographs to help with their project. So it can last a year. So as long as they order it before the 1st of June 2021, that's absolutely fine with me. And it's worth over £100, so it's well worth entering. And it'll just hopefully help you set your project alight and just, really make it pop. And that competition ends on the 1st of June 2020. So if you are interested, please get in touch with me or get on our Instagram before then. That would be fabulous. Thank you very much. Cool. And it's been lovely to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite.
No, it's great.
I haven't talked too much.
Really interesting. No, it's brilliant. So that's cool. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's another interview. So I was going to release this in a few weeks' time, but I agreed to bring it forward because Natasha's got that great competition. So head over to her Instagram, which is Dressing Rooms HS, and make sure you enter that competition before the 1st of June for a chance of winning that prize. So this week's recommendation is Property Magic by Simon Zucci. I'm recommending this because it's a great book, but also because Tash and Matt mentioned lease options. And lease options are one of the things that Simon Zucci explains really well in that book. So go check out Property Magic. He's also got a podcast, which is well worth checking out. But that's it for this week. I hope you can join me again next week for another episode. But that's me for now. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave me a 5-star review to help other people find it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.